Alright, well, I wanted to put together a welding table, so I got a piece of 5/16 sheet there, and got some legs that are standing up on end, and I got some casters, and then the rest of the framework. It's all 2x2, fairly thin wall, not real thick. These are the casters, and I made some little 2.5 by 2.5 inch bottom plates with the nuts welded in them. Kind of looks about like that. Anyway, that's the start of my first welding table. In order to utilize the vise, I built myself this little L-shaped bracket. Goes out of the receiver on the truck, and I have an adapter plate that slips into the top of that, which I'll grab here in just a moment. That is kind of what the adapter plate looks like. Just got a post on the bottom of the plate drilled, and came out kind of like this to mount the vise on, so that I'm able to use a vise. So basically I just lift it off the ground and slip it into that receiver size pipe, and I've got a vise I can use. And I'm going to tack weld those little plates, the screws for the feet. I'm going to tack weld that and end up welding all the way around. Alright, well, I got the supports for the casters tack welded in place. That's what it's going to kind of look like there, and then I'll screw the caster down right to where it's snug with that plate. Oh, won't focus. Anyhow, kind of figure for welding those bottom caster mounts on, I can just rig it up in this vise. It's in the receiver of my truck, and can angle it like so and weld it up. Okay, one down and 3 more to go. Just unmounted off the vise, rotated it, welded it. Got all four sides. And there's the 4 legs welded up, and a little still toasty to mount that caster on there, but I'll be screwing that onto the bottom of that stud sticking out of the bottom there. And the stud's removable. If you want to take it out the bottom, you can. Okay, I laid out the metal on the floor. This is going to be my basic layout for the tabletop, and then the legs that come from the top to the floor. That's kind of what the 2 legs will look like. And then the top of the table, this is obviously upside down. So when I flip it right side up, the casters will be on the floor, and then I'll be able to mount the steel plate on what is now the bottom. It'll be the top. And I had enough metal that was cut to the exact same length as the top to make a second shelf, a couple, maybe 2 feet down from the top. So that metal that's remaining there's the top of the table. It's a 5 foot by 3.5 foot piece of 5/16. Anyway, the exact same amount of metal I have for a second shelf in the same exact layout, halfway down or so. Well, I laid this out on the floor down to my last center section. I have 2 center sections here. There's the end, center, the end. I've strictly used this square, and I am totally square with the whole thing. I'm on my last tack welds on this corner, and I measured corner to corner, and I'm identical there. So I'm going to go and finish up with that last tack weld right there. Okay, I got the both ends put on now. Using this 1x1 square tubing to space the thing off the floor. The Bessie clamp right there is 1 inch from the floor up to the working surface. So I used some 1x1 scraps I had, one underneath the lamp there that runs down this way to space that edge up, and then I used one on this side to space this side when I need it, along with that clamp that clamps things at an angle. So anyway, pretty much ready to move on to putting the legs on this thing. Okay, the top is pretty well put together. This is my gonna try it idea for the corner, putting the leg on. Got the Bessie clamp, angle clamp in the 90-degree angle clamp there. Gonna work on putting the legs on using that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I forgot to mention that I'm using the Bessie clamp as a kind of a straight edge one way, and I'm using the square to square up the other direction. So hopefully my leg is perpendicular to the top of the table. Okay, I'm working on my third leg. There's going to be the top. There's the leg, and then I've got the Bessie clamp in the corner, and again with the square to square it up. That's pretty much all I'm using. Alright, so my design is to have a second shelf, or the exact same pattern as the top. The two crossbars in the middle. There's the ends like that. They have not been welded in place yet, but that's where they're going to be. And then the other metal is right here for the two cross braces and lengthwise pieces. So I'll have a shelf on the lower part of the welding bench. Okay, well here it is so far. Those casters can be adjusted to where this welding table can become stationary and not roll. Right now I can give it a little push with it, my fingers or hands, and it just rolls like. Anyway, got the legs on, and the casters are mounted on there. So get that second shelf put in, get the top put on. It should take care of it. Okay, I'm in the process of tacking in the floor. This bottom part here on the on the concrete is going to be the top. Got the foot posts right there, another foot post. Anyway, I'm tacking in the floor cross pieces, cross members, and I'll keep moving on and get the last two tacked in. Alrighty, I got all the cross pieces welded in, the ones down the bottom. Pulled the casters off because I've been flipping it around, welding all the joints. So I pulled the casters off, and in case I didn't mention it, the casters are adjustable to where they have a pad that extends out and exceeds the distance that the roller is, so you can actually level your thing and level your table without having it move and have it just rest on the pads, or you can retract the pads and have it roll around on the rollers. Anyway, it is ready to have the top put on. I think what I'm going to do is put the plate on the floor, flip this upside down, weld it to the plate, and then I'll have to figure out how to flip it back upright. Alright, I'm getting ready to put the top, weld the top to it. The whole thing right now is upside down, and all I need to do is measure, get an equal distance on the lip that I'm going to have for all the edges all the way around for the use of clamps, so that I can clamp things using the edge. Anyway, need to measure that out, get it centered on that top plate, and once that's done, then flip it over and put the casters back on. Okay, I got the top stitch weld that on, and now all I gotta do is flip it over. Flip it over, and then yeah, maybe put on the casters. Looks pretty good. Okay, got it upright. Haven't put the casters on yet. For that bottom section down there, I was either thinking of putting some like 1/8 inch sheet metal or maybe a 1/2 inch piece of plywood on the bottom, so I make a shelf down there that you could put a whole bunch of things on. Anyway, it's in the sitting right side up and in the garage. Now I gotta put the casters on. Alright, I put the casters on, and the casters have pads that will extend down to the floor so that you can make this table stationary. Right now the pads are retracted. There's a little orange wheel down there that you can turn. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. That orange wheel, you can turn it, and when you turn it, it'll extend or retract the pads. But it's real easy to move right now with it. I can move it with one hand while I'm holding the camera right over against the prunes. So anyhow, all I got to do is figure out what I want to do with putting a that shelf in down there. Either plywood or expanded metal or 1/8 inch sheet metal or 3/16, whatever. But I like it. It's my first welding bench.